The other day, I made a post asking you to tell me who you thought would be good guest characters for Mortal Kombat, and you answered. I got hundreds of comments, and now I'm going to curate those a bit and make a little list. As for how the ranking will work, obviously this is personal, but there are 3 primary factors that I'm going to be taking into consideration, with some wiggle room. Them being, is the person appropriate, possible, capable? Appropriate is like SpongeBob. He's good at karate, and he's known to be immune to pain, but he doesn't really fit in Mortal Kombat, does he? Next up is possible, which is there any chance in hell that they could ever possibly be in the game? So as cool as someone like Goku would be, he's not getting in. And lastly is capable. Can they actually fight? Hannibal Lecter is a murderous serial killer who probably wouldn't be that expensive to license. But could you see him going hand to hand with anybody in Mortal Kombat? Yeah, I didn't think so. Again, there's some wiggle room, but that's just the baseline. And here we go is the actual tier list itself. We got flawless. Somebody who is perfect. That there is no real good reason for them to not be in the game other than maybe licensing issues. Then we got great. Somebody who would be a really awesome addition to the cast. Who they would be appropriate, who they would fit in well, who you could see them kicking some ass. But maybe not the top tier. Then you've got good. They are perfectly fine suggestions. If they got in the game, I wouldn't be upset. That'd be pretty cool. I might play with them a little bit, and they would fit well. And then you've got which is my way of saying, yeah, I wouldn't put them in. So all that being said, let's get to it. We're starting off with a bang, and that is Doomguy. This is somebody that a lot of you guys suggested, including myself, like 4 years ago when we were talking about Mortal Kombat 11. Doomguy would be absolutely perfect. He fits aesthetically. He's got a wide range of weapons, long range and close range. He is no stranger to dismemberment, giving or receiving. He would be a perfect freaking fit going into flawless. And then on the other side of the coin, we have somebody who's also very popular, but this might be a little controversial. We're talking about Pennywise, and I don't think that he would fit very well. I do not like him very much as a DLC character from Mortal Kombat. And it comes down to one major factor. He doesn't fight. Every other guest character in Mortal Kombat is some kind of fighter. Even if it's a little strange, like, they mostly shoot or they're more of an animal, they are still capable of combat. I don't think in any of the It movies or books or TV shows or whatever, has he ever thrown a punch? I couldn't see Pennywise doing a big combo with punches and kicks and throws and uppercuts. It just doesn't seem to make sense. It might be a visual spectacle, but it just comes down to I cannot see Pennywise throwing a punch, and I've never been a fan of the idea. I feel like if all those other horror icons hadn't been in, no one would be clamoring. So I'm personally gonna put Pennywise into Next, we got Judge Dredd, one of the coolest looking guys on this list, and somebody with the biggest cult following. He comes from a very brutal land. He's got a long history they could draw from for inspiration for fighting styles, fatalities, etc., etc. So I'm going to take him and pop him into great. Not the best choice ever, but he'd be pretty solid. But going to somebody who would be super solid, Deadpool. Deadpool would have a freaking ball being in Mortal Kombat. Between his guns and stabbing and slicing and murdering and getting dismembered, he's no stranger at all to violence. He's probably been dismembered and physically eviscerated more than any other comic book character ever. He's a complete smartass. You'd probably get Ryan Reynolds to do the voice, and the only problem is that he is in the wrong freaking company. But they got Hellboy and TMNT into Injustice. Who knows? Maybe they can strike up some kind of deal with Fox. So because of that little grain of hope, Deadpool also goes into flawless. Ghost Rider, really cool guy, really cool gimmick, cool look, but there's 2 little problems. One, Flaming Skull in the same game with Scorpion might feel a little awkward. And then the other thing is his biggest weapon being the penance stare. And I don't think most people in Mortal Kombat would work on them. I think the majority of the cast of Mortal Kombat feel nothing. Feel no remorse about killing. Otherwise, they wouldn't dismember them for fun. He'd be fun, probably like a mix between Scorpion and Takeda, something like that. But I'm going to go ahead and put him into good. And another guy that I don't really have a good reason as to why he's not going to be higher on this list, but bear with me here. John Wick. Quite a few people said John Wick. I can totally see the appeal. The gun fu is badass, Keanu Reeves, everyone loves him, and he is no stranger to gratuitous violence. But there's just something about him that just doesn't click in my brain. I can't see him in a Mortal Kombat game. I'm sure the gun fu would be really freaking cool, but I just can't visualize him being in a Mortal Kombat game. So I'm going to put him into good. Now, someone that I could visualize being in Mortal Kombat, Venom. Venom, I think, would fit really well in a Mortal Kombat, and he would have a great time just eating people up left and right, making Reptile jealous. He'd fit really well. I can imagine that he would have a really creative and interesting moveset. I'm going to go ahead and place him firmly into great. And now we're going to get kind of a twofer, because these two are from the same thing, but they were actually submitted by 2 different people. We got Joel Miller and Ellie Williams, both from The Last of Us. Obviously, Ellie would be Last of Us 2. So these two, obviously, we all know where they come from. A real messed up scenario. And they both are not afraid to bash someone's face in. Coming from from their post-apocalyptic hellscape, I don't think it's a stretch to think that they would be able to fit with the Mortal Kombat crew. However, they are just normal people. You could say Johnny Cage is just a normal person, or Sonya's just a normal person, but at least they have like technology and stuff. But at the same time, they are really cool. The games are a lot of fun, a lot of brutality. They could both definitely hold their own in a fight. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take Joel and put him into great. I'm gonna take Ellie and put her into good. Joel gets put into great just because they could get Pedro Pascal, and that'd be awesome. Next up, we got the Punisher, and hot damn, it really makes you think about how you wish that freaking Mortal Kombat had been bought by Marvel. The Punisher would be a perfect fit into the Mortal Kombat universe. No problem at all mutilating people. There's plenty of story reasons that he would show up and be like, I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker. He's got dozens, hundreds of different weapons and fighting styles to choose from. Thousands of comic book pages to draw inspiration from. He would be amazing. And so I'm putting him into flawless. And I just wish Marvel owned Mortal Kombat when you look at this kind of list. And we're going back-to-back flawlesses because we got Wesker. Now, there's some people in the Resident Evil community who think that Wesker gets a little too much play, that he's not as cool as a lot of people like to think he is, but I don't care. Albert Wesker is awesome. He's got the freaking Venom-like tendrils and stuff. He's quick. You could have an install where he gets pissed off. He's got his gun. He'd be great. Albert Wesker into flawless. Now, someone who's not flawless, but is still pretty cool, Darth Vader. Darth Vader would be pretty badass. He has no moral quandaries about murdering anybody. He's got a lightsaber. He's got telekinesis. He'd be pretty cool. Two little problems. Number one, Disney, obviously. And two, if you really think about it from a gameplay perspective, Darth Vader would just be Space Kenshi. Got a magic sword, got telekinesis. He'd just be Space Kenshi. So it wouldn't be super... So because of Disney's lawyers and because of we basically have a very similar, in terms of gameplay style, character already on the roster, Darth Vader's going to go into good. And another person who isn't going to get super high because of they already have another character who already played very similarly, Michael Myers. Again, this might be another controversial one. A lot of people get mad at me, but bear with me here. What does Michael Myers do, or what could Michael Myers do that wasn't just a copy-paste of Jason? Both big, buff, serial killer, masked men with a sharp, stabby thing. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad. He'd be cool, but I just feel like the only reason that people really want Michael Myers is because you already had Jason, Freddy, and Leatherface. So Michael Myers I'm going to put into good. I wouldn't be mad if he got in, but I'm not begging for him. Now, another white mask stabby man that I'd be more excited to see in Mortal Kombat, Ghostface. Ghostface would be really cool because you've got the there's more than one of them gimmick. He's got more of a smart-ass, interesting personality. Ghostface would probably turn out like a mix of Kano and Noob Saibot. That'd be a really interesting combination. And yeah, I think he's got the personality and just bring something really different to the table. So Ghostface, I'm going to go ahead and put into great. Not the best possible choice, but really good. I'd love to see Ghostface. And then we have someone who he would love to be in the game, Eric Cartman. As much as I love to see Eric Cartman's fatality be him sitting his opponent down and explaining how he got turned them into their parents and then harakiri themselves, yeah, probably not actually going to happen. So he's going to go into ink. Now, someone who could happen would be really fucking cool if it happened, and is entirely appropriate and possible, Chainsaw Man. This was going to be one that I said. This is going to be one that I brought in. But congratulations to Username, because that I 100% agree. Chainsaw Man will be badass. And it would be timely, because right now Chainsaw Man is as hot as it's ever been, and probably as hot as it ever will be. And again, just look at him. Look at him. That screams Mortal Kombat to me. He would just, he'd be formidable son of a bitch. So, putting him to flawless. And next up, we're talking about a really interesting one that I had not even considered at all, which is the bride from Kill Bill. I like this idea because she's got the old school kung fu look. She's obviously very familiar with murdering people. And the Kill Bill movies were very reminiscent of the old school kind of martial arts films that Ed Boon and John Tobias got inspired by to make Mortal Kombat in the first place. But she just doesn't seem to really nail the aesthetic. So I'm going to put her into good, but it's like a high good. It's like in between good and great. I would love to see her in it, but just not feeling super strong about it. Next up, Ash Williams, the one that got away. We're putting him right into flawless. I don't even know if I need to explain this one, but just go watch a couple of the Evil Dead movies, and then you'll understand. It's a freaking shame we didn't get him at MK11, but hey, the Joker turned out pretty good too. A controversial one, but not because I don't like it, but because I do like it. We're talking about Springtrap. That's right, William Afton, the child murderer from Utah. I think Springtrap would be a pretty cool idea. Now, you might be like, hey, you said earlier you didn't put Pennywise in because his whole thing was he doesn't really fight. When did you ever see Springtrap throw a punch? Well, I mean, it's heavily implied that he, stabbed a bunch of children to death. There's been stuff in the supplemental things about him attacking adults. In MK3, in FNAF 3, he comes into your office as a grown man and murders you. And there's been plenty of stuff about him stomping, punching, smashing. So he can kill you. Now, I couldn't see him doing a lot of combos, but I could see him doing like really big, heavy hits, and his fatalities and x-rays and stuff would be really cool. I would have loved to see a fatality where Springtrap just throws you into a spring-lock suit, then you just go and just blood sprays everywhere, and you just... But the point is, I'm going to put Springtrap into great. I think that'd be really cool. And we got the movie coming out, so cross-promotion. Next, we got a very strange one, Creeper. I mean, I like Minecraft as much as the next guy, but I don't really see what the Creeper would do. Maybe like drop kicks and headbutts, maybe bite you, but all of his fatalities and stuff would just be him exploding. Maybe it could be like Sentinel, where it's like the one Creeper explodes and then another one just walks on the screen and keeps fighting. I don't know, I'm gonna put him into A fun idea, though. Next, we got Jinx. The guy said specifically the Arcane version, but I've never seen Arcane, so I can't speak too highly to it. But Jinx as a character seems like she'd be pretty appropriate. She's got kind of like a Harley Quinn thing going on. I know they made her a little more grounded in Arcane, but point is, crazy lady with guns and explosives. I could see that working. And again, Arcane and League of Legends is huge, so that'd be a big get for them. A little bit cross-promotion. So because I'm not super familiar with the Arcane version, and then, League of Legends is League of Legends, I'm going to put her into good. Next one is Jonesy from Fortnite, which I could see. You got a bunch of weapons to choose from, guns and melee weapons. You could have some kind of building gimmick going on. You could maybe even do like Strikers, where it's like, have Rainbow Bomber and the skeleton guy come in and help. It might be... I'm going to put it in there. Next up, we got Wolverine. Someone who's really cool, really violent, and the wrong company! I feel like I don't need to explain Wolverine too much. Big, strong, titanium, claws, murder, kills people, pretty badass. He's going to go into great. Next up, we got Shredder from the Ninja Turtles. We kind of got him in Mortal Kombat Deception when he was throwing ice instead of turtles, but hey, whatever. Shredder would be pretty cool. I'm a big TMNT fan, but again, it is mostly a kid's thing nowadays. I know in the comics it was very brutal and very adult, but 95% of people who give a half a shit about TMNT don't care about the comics. Let's be real here. The comics are good, don't get me wrong, they're fine. But 99% of the people like the cartoon and the movies and such, so he's going to go into good. He'd be very appropriate, he would fit in really well. I'm sure he'd have a great time shredding some people, but very unlikely going to happen. So major points off, so he's going into good. I'd be down for that, though. Shredder would be awesome. Then we got Dom Toretto from Fast and Furious. I don't think you can kill people with the power of family. As entertaining as the idea of him doing car foo to people is, I'm going to go ahead and put him into A. And for the last of the fan-submitted ones, we've got Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. Yeah, he knows his way around some dismemberment. Between the heaviest boots ever and his wide array of weaponry, and again, he's pretty familiar with, life and death, ripping people apart situations. Isaac Clarke would be a very good fit. You can have, things where, necromorphs come in as strikers, or you can have a thing where he grabs you and throws you into one of the big ones for a fatality. One of his fatalities could be he teleports you to the room where you gotta put that thing in his eye, and he just deliberately fucks up the machine, just in your eyeball. That'd be fun. So he's going into great. And last but not least, here are a couple of my ideas, because it's my video. I'm going to start off with the one I think would be the most appropriate of all of mine, which is Juri Han from Street Fighter. If you were to put a gun to Capcom's head and say you have to put one popular Street Fighter character into Mortal Kombat, it would probably be Juri Han. Either her or M. Bison. But probably not, because he's more iconic. Juri's got the 10-10 engine to help keep up with everybody else on the cast. She's without doubt the most murder-happy of everybody else in Street Fighter. And again, I think she's popular enough to where people would get really excited. But also not too popular to where Capcom would not want her to get ripped apart. Obviously, they would not have Ryu or Chun-Li get put into the game and have this happen to them. So yeah, I'm going to put Juri into F. If Capcom were to ever give a single character to Mortal Kombat, it would probably be her. Next up, we're going with a personal favorite of mine, The Undertaker. That's right, the wrestler. If you're familiar with Undertaker lore, it's not a stretch to think that he would be going around murdering people. He can control lightning and sometimes fire. He's murdered more than a couple people live on television. And canonically, he's an undead wizard, so he would be perfectly at home in the Mortal Kombat realms. But again, he's kind of a weird choice, I acknowledge this, and there's a very low chance of it happening, so I'll go ahead and be fair and put him into good. And lastly, we've got the Huntress from Dead by Daylight. One of the most popular and iconic characters from that game. Between her wood axe and her hatchets that she tosses, in fact that she is a big stocky mommy, I do not think it would be a stretch to think that she could beat the shit out of half the cast in Mortal Kombat. And again, she's one of the most popular characters in Dead by Daylight. And Dead by Daylight, kind of a big game. And she's Russian, so that gets some points. So I'm going to take her and we'll put her into great. So there we go. That is 29 potential hypothetical Mortal Kombat guests. I would love a lot of these to happen, but obviously probably not going to. But it's a fun little thought experiment, ain't it? Make sure to follow for more MK content.